Well, quite amazing to have you back. It's still good morning, Anambra. If you're just joining us, of course, your favorite breakfast TV show. Well, so many people who become new parents get so caught up in the pregnancy and baby time that they don't think about talking about some of the more practical aspects of parenting. And on that note, we're welcoming you to this discussion this morning where we'll be talking about families and good parenting. And of course, we have a guest in the house this morning to talk about it, Professor Nkiru Teresa Melodo, Professor of Food and Nutrition Security, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Okay, good to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure being here.
Are you looking amazing this morning? I must confess. How's it been? Being a professor of food and nutrition security at the university, Nnamdi Azikiwe, because I love food so well. So,
isn't it obvious? Well, it's been good because I try to make impact on people on healthy food consumption. You know, educating people on how to eat well for good health.
All right, let's dive in straight up to what we're discussing this morning, families and good parenting. When we talk about good parenting, well, most people see it as one of the hardest jobs in the world when we see parenting. But let's talk about it. What is parenting or good parenting in its entirety?
Good parenting is a topical issue and is an issue that cannot be overflowed. It is essentially an issue that should be talked on a daily basis because of the problem we're having, these days. So it's a way of striving to make sure that you educate your child, you bring up your child in a moral way, you bring up a child that is good in everything, so to speak.
So, we know that good parenting goes beyond just birthing a child.
No.
Yeah, but to nurture and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, families are like a foundation laying stone for every child. So, what are the roles of parents? What are parents expected to do to make this foundation solid and impeccable for the child?
Yes, I very much like what you said. Now, that is the basis is the nucleus of the society. Anything that happens in the family, bet me, it will transfer to the larger society. And that is why we must have to give that parenting, upbringing to our children. That's why we must have to take good care of them, to be able to behave well, so that our society will be good for it. It's not just about betting, For you to make a child to be a good child, you have to start from, even when the baby is in the womb, you start talking to the child. You start confessing about, the life of the child. And the way you behave, you don't stress yourself so much, you don't fight. Some of these things have a way of having effect on your baby. And, the family has to be a place of where there is unity, where there is harmony, where there is understanding, where there is roles, gender roles. What should a girl do? What should a boy do? Is there any difference? What should a girl know? What should a boy know? At what age should a girl know this? At what age should a child know a boy know this? And you have to start on time so that they will not go out and pick up, an idea that is not from the family. If you don't start on time, then when they go out, it becomes a problem. And again, many of us, especially the well-educated or the workforce, that we don't have much time again to take care of our children, to train them. We send them to school early enough. I could remember my children going to school immediately after 3 months. That's the maternity period they give us at that time. So after that, you immediately take your child to crèche, so they'll be able to go to work to get money to be able to augment, to the family welfare. And so whatever the child starts picking at that time will affect the child in future. And so you have to monitor, to be able to, when your child comes home and starts saying, mommy, no, 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 you know that the child has heard another child saying, no, 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 to the auntie, and then you have to educate the child. Say, you don't say no to mommy, you don't say no to your elder, but, do it. You can say, if you don't like it, you have a way of saying, oh, mommy, I don't like this. And the mommy will educate you, excuse me. They have the right to know. They have the right to also speak, to air their mind, to tell us what they think, and from there we can educate them.
All right, just to let you know that this is quite participatory. Of course, great topic, families and good parenting. You have the opportunity to call into the program, or better still, send a WhatsApp message on the number, the very first number on your screen. Of course, we'll be here to read out the message so you can actually join in discussion this morning. And let me come back to you, Professor. You talk about, you said something about the child probably going out, coming back, saying, no, 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 no. The mother or the father should have known or found out that, hey, this child has heard something from somewhere. My question now is, how many parents pay attention to these details? Because it is quite alarming that a lot of people, like I said, see parenting as one of the most difficult things to do on planet Earth. Do you really also buy that it's one of the most difficult things? And how do you encourage parents to pay attention to those little details? Most times they overlook it.
Yes, it is. It is a very difficult thing to do. But I can remember when we were growing up, it's not just about what you know, what you can do. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And then I knew my mother always go on her knees. So it's part of it. You have to know your God. You have to ask God for wisdom. You have to ask the Holy Spirit to always help you. It is not an easy thing. And then what you have is what you give. If you don't have it, if you're not trained, you will not be able to impact anything. And if we were trained to be sensitive, then any little thing, I just give that, very simple example. But there are other things, talk of going to primary school, a child comes in with another pen with him or her, you didn't ask, or a pencil, you didn't ask. And so if you didn't ask, the child can come in with something bigger from another person, and that's how it starts. So we have to open our eyes, open our ears, listen to what they say, and then be able to cancel them.
All right, going by a verse in the Bible that says, train up a child in the way he or she should grow, that when he grows up, he will not depart from it. Do you think it still works in this generation? Because we see a lot of people misbehaving in our society today, and when you look at their parents, they are good parents, they are the well-to-do people in the society, but at the end of the day, their children are misbehaving. Does it still work?
Yeah, sometimes some people don't see it as something they should do. In developed world, we are bringing so many things here. In developed world, some of this spanking and beating, sparing the rod is what is obtained. But nowadays, in our families, I see, no matter how your age, you part, you caution, you can use cane on the bottom, on your palm, okay? But you see that some people overdo it, even in school, And this issue of parenting, yes, because they are not with us, we can also involve school, where they say for how many hours a day, 5-8 hours, in the church, to also learn something, So, beating a child is not an offense, but the way you beat that child could be an offense.
So, in other words, parenting is not just for the parents, but for anybody that is is there to impact on the child, the teachers, the church leaders, and all that.
That's very, very important, because these days they don't even stay for a longer time with parents. They don't stay for longer periods at home. They stay in school. Some live in the boarding house. You see them during visiting day. What do you tell them? Is it only to give them food? No, we carry food to them, but then you say, ask them, how do you behave? Let me see your pants. If it's a girl, even if it's a boy, let me see your armpit. You know, you check those things. They matter a lot. And then what is happening in the hostel? Who did this? Who did that? And she will tell you, or he will tell you that he didn't do, she didn't do. But now you have to counsel and say, make sure you don't do it. Make sure you don't get yourself involved in that. And when they come back, you know, from school on holiday, you can even, for that night, for 2 nights, you can stage them, you know, and be gisting and just asking them questions. From there, you will learn a lot from there. And then you'll be able to also counsel them. So the school should help. You know, school, who are you employing as a teacher? Even in the university as a professor, I say call them. Sometimes the way I will look at them, they already know.
A message.
Passes a message. Of course, that's what we learned when we are growing up. When you have a visitor, your mommy will look at you. You know that that signal is for you to leave. Even when the visitor is calling you to come and take something. Yesterday, I read something on WhatsApp, and it pained me so much. It gave me a heartache, because girls are even the ones that are getting into trouble more than the boys. They say the number of, the estimated number of girls that are involved in illicit drugs are more than that of the boys. No, it's a source of concern. And so we need to, you know, take this very seriously. Tell them what they shouldn't do. You know, that's why they also talk about sex education. When do you start talking to them about that? Even if you don't want to talk directly, you can send text messages, something, you know, relating to that, and from there they will learn. But these days, what is happening in the society is horrible. And I pray that parents should rethink and now and change their strategy.
All right. It's still Good Morning, Anambra, in case you're just joining us. And we are discussing or talking about families and good parenting. Right about now, we'll go for a short break or go to the streets and get to find out what people think about good parenting and, of course, the families. And when we return, of course, Professor will be here to tell us more on the topic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
No fixed formula for upbringing, but at the same time we must realize that the best approach to upbringing of children is, number one, what we call practical examples. You cannot raise children properly without practical example from the parents. And when did this example start? When they are small. From 0 to 5 years, you have to teach your child basic rules of life. And from your own example, they will copy. Then another one is, you know, giving your children opportunity to express themselves before you. That is communication. When you're able to establish good communication between you and your children, you will effectively impact whatever morals you want to impact on them.
One of the ways is infusing the fear of the Lord in them. Because the Bible says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wisdom. So I believe when parents teach their children the ways of God, those children will come out to be a better child in the society. Secondly, the moral upbringing of a child matters so much. The parents should be very careful on what they do, because their children look at them. The way they behave, even at home, how they relate to each other matters enough too.
It's good we train our children in the way of God. But training them in the way of God, what is actually training children in the way of God? Training children in the way of God entails you are beginning early enough to let your children know what is right and what is wrong. To let your children, give them responsibilities from the beginning. Maybe before a year, 2 years, they can try sweeping, they can do so many things. And this issue of leaving every house chore to our mates and others and leaving our children as kings in our homes, it has continued to spoil our families.
The parents should guide the child and then leave the child to to live a life and make mistakes and then correct those mistakes by his or herself, because we've already set that map already for them. Then another one is to teach them one or two skills that will help them like organize themselves in our society today.
This akwụkwọ ụmụaka na-eje from 6 to 6. Ọ bụ eziokwu na mbọ onye nkụzi. Beta ọ dịrọ mma. Nwatakịrị enwere many ways esi abroad mmadụ ọ o wee bụrụ mmadụ. Ọ bụrụ sọsọ agụgụ akwụkwọ. Especially ụmụ nwaanyị. Nwatakịrị gụsịrị akwụkwọ ya anụ di. Banye nwee ike na-esiri di ya nri. Mana akwụkwọ 6 to 6 a nwatakịrị bido n'ụtụtụ jee akwụkwọ, bido akwụkwọ jee eburu ya na moto nata. Or the week, or Jadinana, or just seek Dinana, the following day, Brupaya, even on Saturdays, you do a lesson. So,
We're back from the streets. If you're just joining us, it's Good Morning Anambra, and we're talking about families and good parenting. And Professor Nkiru Teresa Melodo, Professor of Food and Nutrition, Security at the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, is our guest this morning. I was watching the people talk about families and parenting, and your eyes was gazed on them. Quickly react to what some of them have said.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I very much support what they say, especially the first commentator, when he said practical example. Because that's what they see. And they learn it. So how do you behave before your children? How do you behave? What do you tell them to tell another person? Do you tell them to lie to somebody? Do you tell them to scold somebody? Do you teach them how to cheat? Do you teach them how to fight, how to struggle for things? Do you teach them how to be patient, how to be obedient? They will learn from you. If you're the type that wakes them up in the morning, by 6 o'clock, they will learn to wake up by 6 o'clock. To pray, have a family altar. If you're the type that tells, okay, fight your brother, they will learn to fight in the public. They will learn to struggle for everything in the public. So practical experience is key, to what children learn from their parents. Some parents will shout on their children. Some will not give them that, the atmosphere to air their view. You feel that, oh, you are a child, you don't have anything to say.
And they don't really have time to talk with them too.
And they don't have time to talk with them. They don't have time to gist with them. Especially fathers, I'm sorry to say that, when you shout down on them, they will cling to their mother. It's not because they like their mother most, but maybe because of the approach the mother is using to lure them to open up and then discuss. And that's why I always tell mothers that they have, a very, very important role. Mothers have very important roles to play in the upbringing of the children. If they fail, then of course you know what men say, that when a child is behaving well, that's my son, that's my daughter. But when the child is not behaving well, go and discuss with your mother, and your mother is telling you what to do, that kind of a thing. So we have to be, pay very serious attention. We have to be very, very serious in what we do before our children, because they are learning practical experience.
And just like you said, you cannot give what you don't have, because I know a lot of parents, they weren't given good upbringing by their own parents. So how do you expect them to nurture this one?
Again, that's why I talked about school, that's why I talked about church. Teachers should also help. If they have that, let them give out. Like I told you, I caution some of them. Sometimes when I see them, what they wear, I say, come. Don't bring this up tomorrow. Don't wear it. That kind of a thing. Behave this way. Sometimes when I get to class, I'll have a break where I just ship one or two things that is going, shipping one or two things that is going on, and then we discuss it, and then they will smile, and they say, tell me your experience. It's part of it.
All right,
Because sometimes they will not be able to open up to their parents because they haven't given them that enabling environment to talk. So, and they will confide in you. So if they come to a teacher, whether it's a male going to a female or female going to a male, for counsel, please, I'm begging you, just give them the counsel they need and then let them go.
All right. Okay, I know Dima has a question, so go ahead.
All right, let's talk about the ugly or negative tendencies that youth are exhibiting this day. Let's use committing suicide as an example. And then you talked about what you read on WhatsApp about girls being more involved in illicit drug and all that. Yeah. Could we also relate that to poor parenting?
Yes, we can relate some of it because, some parents also take drugs. Yes, some parents smoke extensively, So some of these things, like we said, they take from them. Some they take from outside. That's why we need to counsel them. To start early, to talk to them about it. And then they will learn. Even if they have started, we can regain them back. We can get them back and then retrain them, on how to go about
it. How do we do that and at what age? These are people that have already formed their characters. They are already grown. Most of them, they are not even staying with the parents again. How do we recall them? How do we pull them back?
And that's what the church can do also. It's societies. Which society do you belong to? And what is the society impacting on you? Okay, that you can transfer to your children also, to people around you. In the church, we have women groups, we have fathers, what they call it, Mothers Union, youth group. From time to time, we talk to them. I happen to be one of the advisors of Youth Forum in the University of Ibadan, Chapel of Resurrection. They invited me to come and be their, one of the advisors, maybe because they have seen one or two things. And then from time to time, we go to them and we educate them, we talk to them, we expose them even to income generating activities. A man should cook, then the girl should do this and that, because that's another way of helping, even if they have grown, even if they are out of home. So the church can help, women's society, fathers group, fathers society also have. You can call somebody, and then advise. And then you can make it a workshop where you retrain adults, There is no place you go that you will not learn one or two things that you can now, use in your home.
All right, we all want the best for our children. Of course, everybody will agree with that. Whether you're trying to bond with the infant, raise a grandchild, or help kids cope with the turmoil of a divorce. Now, I know that parenting presents a unique set of challenge. We have been talking about some of the challenges, but now I would want you to highlight some of the unique challenges parents go through as regards to parenting. And again, I also want you to talk more on, when we talk about parenting, how about the single parent? People who probably, the divorcee, people who divorce, people who probably the man denied the baby, and it's left for the woman alone to take care of the baby. How do this category, set of people produce good parenting to the child? Because I also want to link it to, you talked about the children being able to talk to their parents, tell their parents everything, and somebody would be raped and not be able to talk to the parents for one reason or the other. So quickly, tell us the challenges associated with parenting.
Okay. There are a lot of challenges. You do know that there are some children that beat their parents 16 years, even 13 years, beat their parents. And there are some that will shout on their parents. Some will not even listen. So there are a lot of challenges. But then, the father and the mother must, unite in the training of the children. They must give advice together to the children. In fact, that's a very good example that your children are seeing you with their father, mother, and father, playing, talking, gisting. Is a good example. So both parents must unite and then be able to train their children together. It's very important, not one. Then, if peradventure you have a single parent, that parent must also strive and try to bring that child up. If that person was brought up in a good way, if that person had a good parenting.
Okay.
But if he or she doesn't have, then means that the church will help. The church will help. The women's society, the pastors, the ministers can also help in the camp. Once you see that child doing something, you call the mother, say, this child is doing this. Don't hide. Don't just caution the child and that's all. Let the parents know.
But what do you think is responsible for why a child will be so afraid or scared of the parent that they can't talk to the parents? Because, why I cited the example of rape, for instance? Because we're talking about good parenting. And I feel if you have a good bond with your kids, if such ugly incident happens to her or him, because I know some men or boys are also raped, they should be able to talk to their mommy. But it's not the case these days. So I think it's also bad parenting that makes kids or children not be able to talk to their parents.
You mentioned about creating an environment for them to come out. So we want you to explain what kind of environment. How do you create
what strategy are you using, for you to be able to make them to be open? You can tell them stories of what happened to other people and the side effects, and then advise them that if such thing happened to you, you have to let me know. Okay? And maybe not something like that. Another thing relating to it, or not even relating to it, happens to that child, and the child comes home to tell you, you start scolding the child. Where were you? How did it happen? How did you open up? You start. But then you have to listen, calm yourself down, and then listen to the child very well. And then you take it up from that. Okay? Sometimes you can even tell the child, oh, you are not to be blamed, but next time, this is what you should do. We need to go to the hospital, we need to see a priest, that kind of a thing. But then, when you shout the child down, the next time, the child will not tell you anything. That is it.
Okay, it's quite interesting now, because you actually, let me quickly ask this question. Based on what you said, now what are the skills of good parenting? Because the parents are watching. A lot of parents engage in probably insulting their child, laying curses. I have seen parents who like ketepa, nkewa, nkoso on their kids. This thing somehow, we don't even know, gets to play out in the life of this child as time goes on. So quickly tell us or highlight what are the skills of good parenting for parents who are working out.
Like what I said initially, that you can't give what you don't have. So if you were trained to be cursing people, I tell my children, you don't curse, no matter what the person has done to you. And then the child comes and says, Mommy, do you know that our teacher can say idiot to somebody? I say, hi, why should that teacher say idiot? But then, don't say idiot. So you caution the child. You don't say certain, how can you curse your child if the child will start behaving like idiots? It happens. There are people, whatever you say, it will not be good for you. What has that child done? Whatever, bring that child. He or she doesn't really understand the import of what he or she was doing. So you have to bring that child down. And then try and educate. And tell the side effects of cussing. You know? And then try to talk to your children. Smile even when you're angry. Let the child finish. And then I'm not say that you should not thank any child or tell the child what you have done is wrong. No. You have to do that. But first of all, let the child understand that what he or she has done is not good. And the implication of that is very, very important. Bring them. You see, they can annoy you. There's the time they will annoy you. But if you don't have that understanding, you will flare up immediately.
Do you also think that good parenting can make a child or a youth or an adult be a better person in the society? You know why I ask this question is that you see a lot of people, a lot of youths that are doing something, and you tell them, they tell you, I know what I'm doing is wrong. Yes, I used to attend fellowship when I was small, but now I'm a big boy, I'm a big girl, I can do whatever I want and get away with it. So do you think that to some extent, good parenting will help shape the future of a child?
Of course. In fact, well, let's say 90% good parenting will very much show the child the way to go, and it will affect the society. Because whatever the child learns, it will be difficult for that child to change. Even though you can have peer influence, but it will not be as strong as those who did not have that. You know, for example, a child of 22 years old was asking me, when will I stop telling you that somebody gave me money? I said, that person gave you that money not because he just wanted to give you the money. It's because you are my child. So you cannot stop, even when you're married. You know? So even when you're married, even when that child is married, you can still counsel in love. I haven't had it. I've not had a child that is married. I've not. But I know some people, when they go for omugo to take care of their children, they fight before coming back.
Yeah, that's true.
They fight before coming back. And I knew when my mother was coming, she would just say, do you want this? But this is not good though. She would, you know, the way she would smile to bring out what she wants, then you accept it. So it's not a time of going there to fight. Even the other children will see that their mother and their
grandmother
is fighting. So you know, what are you bringing up? Yeah. What impression are you making on those children? So it goes on like that, and then the society will continue to be worse if we don't start from home to caution our children, to train them. And again, more importantly, from the one, the person that commented said 0 to wherever. From the one, you take them to the church. It's very, very important. Because even if you do want to do it, conscience, and then you will not continue. So the Bible, the Word of God is very, very important. When you are not there, the Word of God would be.
Okay,
you know?
Okay.
Yeah. All right, comparing parenting of those days when you were growing up and what is happening now, what will you have to say? And then how do we address the challenges facing parenting that you already raised before and now?
You know, when we were growing up, let me tell you, my father will cane me. He said, just turn your back or your palm. Why? Because I fought. And why did I fight? Not really fighting, I struggled with somebody on something. And he said, even if that person takes your thing, go and tell the teacher. Or come back home to tell me. Even if the person beats you, don't hit back. So, if somebody hits you and hits back, and he hits again and hits again, that's what you'll be doing. Once my father hears it, when you come home, you must be caned. Do you understand it? Not that you have really fought. And you were not the person that started. That person hit you. So he said, by the time you go to the teacher to report, and the teacher did not do anything, that feeling you had at the initial stage would just be subsiding. And you will not have that, feeling of fighting again. By the time you come home, will you go back tomorrow to fight? But if you try to respond and come back home, you are in trouble.
Yeah, but so they didn't say that you are a weak child. When somebody looks for your trouble and you just let go and you start crying and go to report to them, they want you to take action immediately to show that you were strong.
No, it's not by beating back. It's not by beating back. If you want to take that in from him on, go to the teacher.
Okay.
Because that is what we also experience at home. You give 2 children a plate of rice to eat. One will eat. Eating fast, then the other will start fighting. So the fight will start, and then they grow up fighting and fighting.
So basically, from what Dimma has said,
it's not making you to be weakling. No, it is not.
Okay, but when can good parenting be too much? When I mean too much is, when can you overdo it to the point that even your kids may not be able to stand up for themselves? I mean, considering the example Chidima gave, and basically, because when we talk about good parenting, you probably have a way you want to train your child. You have the strategy, the skills, and a lot of people, you will come of age where, because this is what you've grown up with, it is part of you. As people look at you, man, that's a weakling.
No, it's not just about fighting anyway. You will be firm. This is it. This is where I stand. I'm standing on it. It's not the issue. Look at people at the fight at National Assembly. They break things. So, because they are used to fighting. There is nothing you can do about it. They are used to fighting. So, it's not about that. Being firm is different from don't fight.
Okay. All right, quickly. How can child's rights realize? How are child rights realized through family and parenting support? Like how, or what do you have to do to make a child know that, see, I'm Kelvin, Ngozi, this is your right. Don't allow people, trample on it or take it away from you. How can you realize that in a child?
You tell the child that it starts from home. Okay, you have the right to speak. Oh yeah, tell me. And then the child tells you, probably what the child will be telling you will not be the correct thing, or it could be the correct thing. You have a way of merging the two together for the child to be able to know that, oh, I have right, but that is not so absolute. But the child, the right to eat, the child has the right to eat, right to good nutrition. So the child must ask, is this food good? Is it nutritious? Is it healthy? Yes, the child should ask for his or her right. At any point in time,
ask. Or are you the parents? Is it supposed to be the parents that will tell, this is your right, you should ask?
Yes, we can train our children to know their right. We should, not just that we can. We should train them to know their right. You were a girl. Who told you that you cannot be an engineer? Who told you that you cannot do chemistry, physics, science subjects? Is it because you're a girl? No. You have the right to do it. You're a boy. Who told you that you cannot cook? Come, I'll teach you. You have the right to prepare your meal. Even in your wife's house, you can cook.
And also, as a child, you are allowed to tell your parents what you want to be. Like you said something like imposing
Yes,
them the kind of course they will
that is the one that is also affecting some of our children. That child, just expose the child to the courses. Expose the child to the subject that will lead to the courses. Give the child the best training and understanding about the disciplines that are. And then the child will now choose. Because it has happened so many times that people, especially for medicine, they say, you must read medicine. There is no two ways about it. And you see the child write his first MD 2 years after the child failed. Another 2 years, the child, will go to another discipline relating to it. The child passes that one. You ask the child to come back. The child comes back. He fails again 4 years. That child will have graduated as a psychologist. And what psychologists, where they can work. They can work anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's very important. And there is no cost. There is no discipline that is not lucrative.
All right, quickly, parenting and family structure after divorce, are they related?
You know, it's something that we don't want to be talking about because, or we should even be talking about because it will not go the same way. When things fall apart, it has fallen apart, and to get it together again, it's always very difficult. That's why we don't even encourage. I think that's the best way to go about it. We don't even encourage divorce, except if somebody's life is at stake because of the implication on the family and the society.
All right, you know, we can go on and on. Families are Adama.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, now we've enumerated a lot of challenges facing parenting. That's poor parenting, so to say. So
And poverty is another issue. Poverty is another issue, you know.
Okay.
Yes, because if you cannot afford to fend for your family, you know, they can open their eyes to anything.
And then when they are going out,
when they are going,
you can't draw them
it
back
can,
because you don't have
what
they are looking for.
But
outside.
when you train your child to be prudent, when you train your child to not to be covetous, then the child will know that even in poverty, there is blessing, and one way is not a permanent situation. One way or the other, they can come out of it.
That's true, but then I don't completely agree with you on that because we have a lot of like sex workers. When you ask them, they'll tell you it's the situation of the home. Yeah, I know what I'm doing is not good, but then I have to feed myself, or probably my parents, they are ill.
So me, I don't agree with you on that. You can't say that because your parents doesn't have money, you go and become a sex worker. There are other things. There are other small jobs you can do to get money. There is agriculture that you don't even need to invest so much.
Whose fault is that? Like, because we're talking about parenting.
Yes.
Whose fault is it for the girl child, for instance? Because it's mostly fun with the girls when we talk about sex workers. Whose fault is it that the girl begins to think that my parents don't have money, then let me go and, you know, sell my body?
But there is no communication in that home. Before it leads to that, it means that there is no communication in the home and that the parents are not seeing very well. Because there is a situation, you graduate, or even some did not even go to school, they are dropouts. There are things they can engage themselves in. Small thing. Go to a hawker, you see people carrying just garden egg to sell, and they eat. You see people carrying granules to sell. What is the season? What is in season? Now is the season of maize. People are roasting, but you know, you find a very good corner where you can do that. So people need to be counseled. Parents need to counsel people, and the church needs to counsel. Even the government need to put some strategies in place. Like government is also trying to do something. The youth empowerment program, the value chain program. You know, I was called upon to train some children on value addition. And I train them on how to package. Whatever you have, you package it very well. You know, and once you package it very well, it will attract market. It will attract people to buy. So these are the things we need to do to be able to engage our children, to be able to engage the youth, even the ones that are broken from their home. They've run.
To draw them back, right?
To draw them back, we need to draw them back.
All right, quickly, in a sentence, what are you saying to parents out there, especially parents out there, as regarding to good parenting, taking care of their children? Quickly, in a sentence.
Yes, I will tell parents, their parents, women in particular, whatever you are doing, your children is watching. You can deny yourself of certain things. You can hold yourself, you know, from certain behavior because of the implication of your action on the children, on the society, in the world. So, we have to train our children well.
Thank you
and
so much.
prayerfully do that.
Prayerfully do that.
Yes.
It's coming from Professor. So thank you very much. We just talked about families and good parenting, and I hope you actually got a whole lot to help yourself and, of course, your children. And once a very big thank you to Professor Nkiru Theresa Meludu, Professor of Food and Nutrition Society, Namdi. Security, rather.
Yeah.
Forgive me for that. Namdi Ezekwe University. Okay, good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure being here.
All right, Dimma.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Thank you, Prof, for being here with us. And thank you, Gunnar, for co-anchoring with me. And thank you, our viewers, for listening. I hope you grabbed a lot of things to help make our family a better place to be. My name is Chidimma Ramwa. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is another day. See you tomorrow.
And of course, for everyone behind the scene, and I want to say a very big happy birthday to Aluka, Chukwu Aluka, one of our lovely camera guys here in the studios. We're having a good party today. And of course, Professor for Food, at least I'm covered today. And so it's going to be a very good one. Many thanks for joining us again. Not to forget, at 9 o'clock, it's time for this morning news. And of course, Sports Today will be taking center stage at 15 minutes past 9. Many thanks once again. I'm a very Ugonna. Bye for now.